What is up, guys? What is up? This is JD Rich coming back at you with another video in One Piece review and discussion. I missed the last chapter, even though I did read it and whatnot. I didn't get around to reviewing it. That's my fault on that, for making you guys miss out on another one of my amazing reviews. So sorry about that, but we're back again. Like I said, I read the last chapter, but now we're just gonna jump forward and get back into the fray. This time with One Piece 1165. Echo of the Rocks Pirates, echo of their journey. It's just one big echo of one of the greatest crews, if not like in Roger's greatest of sailing the world, but like greatest factions of a powerhouse, of an entity, of a crew to dominate the seas and whatnot. So this is One Piece 1165 chapter review, Echo. Now, starting off, we actually have Rocks like in his Domi Reversi form, as he still is, currently trapped under the enslavement of Imu's will and whatnot. Now, as he is currently trapped, and as it appears that Garp and Roger are facing off against him, you can see that Rocks is still conscious. Like, there's still some consciousness of Rocks internally while underneath the binds of this Domi Reversi. So, and it appears that Rocks is in great pain. Like, he can't take it being in this form. Crying like this while being in this evil incarnation of whatever Imu made you out to be due to the Domi Reversi, that still signifies the humanity and the willpower that is still somewhat left inside of Rocks. So he's not completely gone. Like, he may not be able to control his body or his actions right now, but his consciousness is still there. It's still faded in a way. It's slightly faded, but it's still there. So I got my notes here, y'all, so follow me. So then Garp, it appears that Garp also can hear him. Like, not only can Roger hear him, as we saw in the latest chapters, Garp can hear him as well. See, a lot of people speculated that Garp did not have the voice of all things, and I kind of went on a stretch to say he actually did. Like, even if he didn't, it's still amazing that Garp is here, but the fact that Garp actually does, as it's confirmed in this chapter, that Garp actually has the voice of all things, it just makes it more amazing to me. Like, both of these men, Roger and Garp, can hear the pain and can hear Garp in his, they both can hear Rocks in pain. They both can hear that Rocks is trapped. And really, for all the people who speculated that Garp didn't have the voice of all things, this should have actually been a confirmation in the previous chapter when Rocks first got transformed and he asked both Garp and Roger. The fact that he spoke to both Garp and Roger should have been an indicator of confirmation that yes, Garp also has the voice of all things. Because why else? Because think about it, he called for both of them. He didn't just say, Roger, kill me. He said, Garp and Roger, please kill me. Roger and Garp, please kill me. He called them both. Now, moving forward, man, as we see, Roger is questioning the state that Rocks is in. Like, it's saying that it doesn't add up. The form that he's in doesn't really add up. And how strange it is just seeing him this way. Because I don't think Roger has ever seen anybody like this before, as far as like taking over internally into a monster, and then they can't even willfully get themselves out of it unless they could. And it's a certain level of hockey you have to I guess extinguish from yourself and your willpower combined with it. But this is just strange, seeing Rocks turn into this thing and become this entity while also being a slave of his own body and will, being subjugated to the binds of the Domi Reversi. Now, as Roger and Garp, they're actually facing off against him. Now, Roger and Rocks, they're in a sword clinch because it appears that Rocks is actually about to swing his blade and Roger is getting ready to catch it with his blade, his ace. So Roger catches that and they're in a hockey clash, and it appears that Garp actually jumps up in the air and he punches Rocks like dead in his face. A raw, like, think about it, this is a Garp fist that we take in here. I don't think Rocks can really feel it. Something tells me that, I don't know, maybe he can, but maybe not to a certain extent. Maybe, I don't know, maybe internally he can feel, like, as far as the hockey impact of it. But as far as the physical damage, I don't think Rocks can feel it physically. But internally, I think he is susceptible to the damage because, after all, they are using hockey. Hockey can damage you internally. So Rock's on the inside. I think he can feel every blow. Physically, I don't think his body can, but his body is still going to take damage regardless from the physical of the impacts and the combat and touching and whatnot. So who knows, you know? But still, I guarantee that internally Rox can still feel this. So Garp punches Rox, as it appears, and apparently Rox actually swings his swords and cuts through. Well, I wouldn't say cuts through, but he's able to knock back both Garp and Roger. He knocks back Roger first. Garp goes by. And as it appears up in the clouds, the sky is actually splitting. It's noticed by the rest of the Fada Marines who are on the island looking up. Now, as you can see the island, right? One of the mountains, the mountain ranges that was in the center of the island, or if that's not the center, in the background of the island, the big mountain ranges, the peaks, one of them is knocked down. The other was still up. However, the sky above everybody is split in half. The sky is split. So that just shows you how much energy and how much will and hockey is being thrown around just casually during this fight. This is a serious fight. This isn't like anything else. And as we move forward from that, we got Hitman Kyo and Shiki. Hitman Kyo and Shiki are both trying to make their way off the island, as it appears that they're announcing their disbandment from the crew. Shiki makes the official announcement that the Rox pirates are over, they're disbanding, so it's everyone literally out for themselves. But this was bound to happen, right? But the fact that it happened on an island like this and on during an event such as this, it just speaks volume. Like, you would think that this would be the greatest time for the crew to dominate, but no, there's too much at play here. You got Devil Fruits, you got Treasure, you got Shocky, and then you just got other factions of people showing up like the Roger Pirates and Garp and his crew. So this was a pretty damn eventful day. Like, this was, oh my goodness. Like, this is one for the history books, and we already know that, because as they tried to erase it from history, but it's still, as we get to the end of the chapter, we learn this day still echoed throughout the sea due to the events, not just events, but due to the actions of the Rox crew as a whole. So yeah, man, the Rox crew is hereby disbanded. Everybody's out for themselves, getting their own treasure, trying to find their way off the island. Everybody's just out, you know what I'm saying? I'm out to get mine. I'm out to get it. That's what we came here for anyway. Even though we were originally supposed to rescue Shocky, we ended up going after other ambitions and goals as far as what we wanted for our own self-preservation. Now, Garp and Roger, they both actually call their respective groups. Garp calling his Marines, Roger calling his crew. As it appears, they're both telling their crews in, their respective squadrons or whatever. Garp tells his people, hey, get off the island. Get everybody that you can, survivors and whatnot, get off the island. Roger's telling his crew, hey man, get Shocky and the treasure and get up out of here, just bail out. You know what I'm saying? Just get up, just gather yourselves. Don't worry about me. Get out, everybody. And they're both saying that I'll be back, I'll make it back for sure. And they hung up. So they're both saying that they'll make it back for sure, telling their respective parties to exit and leave the island. And they do for a spell. So Garp, we then get a panel of Garp and Roger both taking off their jackets, man. This is when it's getting real. When in anime, when the antagonist, protagonist, or when the character starts removing clothing during a battle, and when they remove, like, say, a jacket, a tie, glasses, hat, or whatever, and they set it down, that's how you know that they're getting serious. Like, this is no holding back at this point. I gotta get real. It's time that we really get into it and start duking it out, man. So this is amazing right here, because not only are they coming together, but they're both collectively realizing, like, yo, this is more than what we're cut out for. And we got to give it just that. So Garp actually says the only reason he came to this island was to arrest and capture both Rox and Roger. He wanted to capture both of them, get two of the biggest fish in the pond he can and capture them. But plans change, as we can see. Roger says that all he wanted to do was save Shocky, grab some treasure, and then bail out off this island. That was his only plan. He didn't come here expecting to get into this fight and cause any of this and whatnot. So it is what it is. They're here at this moment. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of them came initially with the idea of fighting rocks or going through what they're going through as far as witnessing the government, the human hunt incident, and then the emu thing, the emu Satter thing as well. They didn't plan on running into that. They had their own respective goals for being here. One being Shockey and Treasure for Roger. The other being Roger and Rocks and capturing them for Garp because he's a Marine officer, Vice Admiral and all that. So what can you expect? Now, as Rocks is actually getting back into the fray of the battle, Rocks is actually trying to attack both Garp and Roger. Rocks actually plunges his sword towards Garp, and it appears that Garp actually jumps up and dodges it, and he grabs Rocks by the leg. He grabs Rocks by the leg and appears to actually attempt to slam him. And while he's doing this, Garp is actually talking during this time. And when he's talking, he's actually asking, because like Garp can hear Rocks' pain. Garp can hear Rocks internally from the voice of all things. So he's asking him like, yo, I'm confused. There's got to be a way. This curse that you're under, this transformation that you are undergoing, there's got to be a way to reverse it, right? There's got to be a way to reverse this thing. There has to be, right? That's what, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Garp is basically asking, because he's hoping to hear an answer from Xebec on how to basically change him back and to stop all this stuff. But, you know, the Dome Reversi, we're not really clear on an answer yet. However, we may get an indicator of an answer later on down the line in the chapter when Roger starts talking again. So, as it appears, yes, Garp actually takes Xebec by his leg and slams him, but I think Xebec bounces right back up, of course. I don't think any of this stuff is damaging him physically, even though it's like, it's physically damaging him, but it's not like Rocks is conscious enough to feel it unless it comes from like a sense of Haki being attacked on him. Now, whatever Haki that they use to attack, I think Rocks can feel it internally, but any other regular punch, kick, or whatever, I don't think that's affecting Rocks on a I don't think that's affecting Rocks internally. That's like a base physical effect on his body, but I don't think he can feel it. So that's what I mean by the physical is not being damaged. Like, yes, you can visibly mark him, scar him, but physically he cannot feel it. However, internally he can feel whatever Haki attack is taking its toll on him. So physically, like, let's say Roger cuts him. Yes, physically he's cut, but it's not like Rocks can physically feel it himself because he's not himself at the moment. But internally, he is inside. So if you were to attack him with Haki, yes, Rocks would internally feel it. He would internally feel it. But whatever this transformation is doing to him, he's crying about it because he's suffering internally. But physically, his body is numb. Like he's not in control. This is a whole nother entity doing his bidding, using him and manipulating him to do so. Now, the Roger pirates in the next panel are running away. Rayleigh lets them know that Roger's not gonna stop fighting until they're off the island and they're safe at sea and whatnot. You know. Also, another thing I wanted to go over: when Roger and Garp made their collective snail transponder calls to their crews or whatever, when they made those calls and told their people to get off the island, we actually see that on the Oro Jackson, there's actually the dinosaur egg. Well, and that's what's crazy. Actually, I don't even think, one detail about Roger's ship, I don't think that's the Oro Jackson at all. They didn't get the Oro Jackson until they went and met Fisher Tom and whatnot. And Shanks was probably like around 8 or 7 years old around this time. Around that time, probably. But yeah, because they go meet Fisher Tom some years after this. So, and yeah, they do, because I think Odin is actually with them when they go meet Fisher Tom, because he tries to recruit Frankie. So yeah, man, yeah. This ship that Roger is actually occupying right now, that he's sailing on, it's not even the Oro Jackson. It's something else completely, but we don't know the name of it. It's not even been released yet. Why won't Oda give us the name of this ship yet? Maybe he's saving it for another time, as usual, right? But this ship that Roger captains, that we see in the chapter, it's not the Oro Jackson. And on top of that, if you notice, there's the egg. There's the egg on their ship. They got that egg. You remember that? I would call it a dinosaur egg, but we know it's not a dinosaur. But this big egg that they've been selling around with, what is this thing? Is this a key to an ancient weapon? Because we still don't know what the meaning behind this egg is. And also, I got a feeling that we may see this egg hatch in future flashbacks, and maybe it could be connected to something involving either the ancient kingdom or the ancient weapons in some form or fashion. Because I'm like, they're not just riding around with a random egg for no reason. This egg or whatever it is has significance to the story and something that they used along their journey for some reason. So whatever's in this egg, we don't know, but it's definitely going to be some type of creature, as we can speculate. But they have the egg on their ship during this flashback. Just another amazing detail I wanted to point out. So as we get back to the Roger pirates leaving, and Rayleigh lets them know that Roger is not going to stop fighting until they're safe at sea and they're away from the island. As they're escaping, we see Rayleigh holding Shaki and whatnot. But then we see Gloriosa. Gloriosa comes tagging along with the crew. Gloriosa lets them know, like, hey, that's a nice ship. That's quite the ship. You don't mind if I tag along, do you? And Gabon notices, like, Gloriosa, like, what are you doing? Like, what, out of all? And what's crazy is this, even though the Rocks Pirates are disbanding, it shocked me to see Gloriosa going with them, because I actually had a prediction that the Kuja Pirates would come back around and actually get Gloriosa in Shaki. Because I'm just saying, why would the Kuja just sit there and do nothing while their former empress is captured on this island, And especially with their other former empress, a part of a crew that's going after Shaki as well. So, I don't know. But I don't think that's the last that we will see of the Kuja Pirates. They will be back into the fray. Don't know when. I think current day, yes. And as far as this flashback, we may see them again later on down the line as we get to Harold's death. Probably, maybe. I'm not even saying that they're going to be a part of Harold's death or be around during that time, but they may be around as far as like we get a segment of checking on them and their updates of what they're doing and what's going on with them. So they will still be impactful to the story. They will still be shown in some way. Just they may not be involved with Elbaf with whatever further flashbacks we may get involving King Harold. But the Kuja Pirates will be a factor still in these flashbacks and in the future. Now, Gloriosa is apparently tagging along, and she's going to be on Roger's ship. This is going to be hilarious when we get Roger back on the ship and we see Gloriosa, because I guarantee Gloriosa is going to be the first one to charge into his arms. But for now, she's running with Scopper and Rayleigh, getting Shaki to the ship. So, hey, with Gloriosa and Shaki, I can't wait to see that interaction between them two. That's going to be good as well. So, moving forward, I'm reading my notes, guys. I got my notes. I took notes on every part of the chapter. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I might forget a detail and I have to write it down just to bring it to you guys. So we get a panel of Kaido and Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin. We get a panel of them actually arguing with each other. Now, apparently they're bickering back and forth over Kaido eating the fruit, and Big Mom calls it like, yo, you owe me a lifelong debt for that, Kaido. You owe me. But technically, does he really owe her? I mean, come on, like, this man took the fruit. It's not like if she gave it to him, then yeah, I could see her saying why she was saying that. But she's saying it as if she's giving it to him when she didn't really give it to him. He just took it from her. She got caught off guard, and she like, hey, snatches, no snatchbacks, no getbacks. He just swiper, no swiping. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. You got swiped, you got wiped. He swiped the fruit from you. If you did a better job of protecting it and kept your guard up, Conqueror's Haki user, if you did a better job of keeping your guard up, maybe Kaido wouldn't have gotten the fruit. But he took it from you fair and square because you were insufficient at protecting what you claimed to be yours, that you now hold him responsible for a lifelong debt. Come on now. Come on, Big Mom. You're being somber. You're being somber right now, real somber. So Kaido's saying that she lost fair and square, the fruit is his, she lost it fair and square, and that he's gonna start a crew with a main where brutality is law. Like brutality is law, brute force, brute strength, brute everything, dominion. It's strictly going to be a brutal crew, and he's going to be better than hers. So Big Mom says that when she gathers her crew as well, she's going to come back and crush Kaido, and Kaido and she's basically saying that she's going to beat Kaido and whatnot. And I think it's Kaido also saying the same thing, where he's gonna say that, like, yo, I'll be ready for you. You won't be able to stand a chance against me. And she's basically saying that once I'm gonna make you pay for the lifelong debt. I'm gonna come in your territory or whatever, come see about you, and I'm gonna crush you. So they're both betting their claims on becoming big shots. You know, they're still super rookies at the moment, but they're both making their claims on becoming big shots in their own rights by going off and starting their own respective factions of crews. Streusen is in this panel. Streusen lets Big Mom know, like, hey, yo, we gotta go, man. We can't stand here around no more. Let's get out of here. Let's dip. Let's beat it. It's time to go. I like Streusen, man. I ain't got a problem with Streusen, for real. You know, Streusen is I guess he's a cool side character in a way. Good help to Big Mom, as you could say. But yeah, Streusen is here, man. He's helping Big Mom out. They're about to just take off, get far, get off the island. You know what it is. So as we move forward, Rox knocks Roger down. We see a panel where Rox and Roger and Garp are still fighting. It appears that Rox actually knocked Roger down using one of his sword slashes in their fight. And as it goes on, they're just going back and forth between Garp and Roger, both attacking him, and him actually, like, Rox is giving them work. In this Dome Reversi form, he's giving them work. He is literally like just putting belt to act. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not playing around. Even though it's not technically Rox fighting, he's possessed. However, one thing I thought about was this. If Rox didn't get Dome Reversi'd, how would this fight go down if they still went through with it? Like, if they still went through with it and Rox wasn't in his Dome Reversi form, could this fight be worse? And when I say worse, I mean like worse in the sense of, could Garp and Roger be having a harder time with a conscious Rox or a Dome Reverse Rox? Like, who would give them the more? Because people think that because Rox is Dome Reversi, this is the most trouble Garp and Roger has ever faced. But I think that if Rox was conscious and not subjugated under the Dome Reversi, it would be a much more difficult fight for Garp and Roger. Because think about it, a conscious Rox who's willingly ready to scrap with both Garp and Roger, yeah, they would both, I think that they'd both be in a world of trouble. Not saying that they wouldn't put up a great fight, but I'm saying that if Rox was not under the subjugation of this Dome Reversi, the difficulty for that fight would be higher than even what it is now. So I'm not saying that the difficulty for this fight is not high, it is. But I'm saying if Rox was conscious and in his own body with his own will and spirit intact, this fight would be that much more difficult for them, because you got a conscious Rox, you got a conscious Xebec. So, you know, and on top of that, these attacks, we've only seen one named attack from Xebec. If he was conscious and he was actually like fighting both on par with Roger and Garp, like willfully himself, man, it'd be a whole nother story. It'd be a whole nother story. So, as we see that in the next panel, Whitebeard appears to be off in a distance after being knocked back, I guess, from Rox, as Rox knocked him back and Whitebeard knocked down the mountain. I think Whitebeard knocked down the mountain using his devil fruit when he was clashing with Rox, or he fell back into it when Rox knocked him back. Either way, Whitebeard is responsible for knocking the mountain down. Half of it, because the other half is like still standing up, you know, as you can see in the chapter. So Whitebeard is watching this fight. Whitebeard seems to be watching the fight from a great distance. Where he is, I'm not sure. But we meet somebody very, very interesting, very, very significant. It's crazy who we meet right now at this moment. So the character that we get greeted by is a stranger who also is a big fan of Whitebeard. This stranger says that, yo, man, it appears that your crew is disbanded. You know what I'm saying? That was also you who knocked over the mountain, right, Whitebeard? I knew it was. It had to be you. So now that you're not a part of the crew anymore, you need a ship. Come join mine. Come jump on my crew. Come be a part of what I got going on. You know what I'm saying? Come rock with your boy. Mess with your boy. And who is this guy? Polo Graham. Polo Graham and the father of Marco the Phoenix. Of all people that we meet, bro, of all people that we met on this island, man, who are significant in both crews, you know, from Rogers factions to Garp's people to Rox's organization, man, who would have thought that we would have met Marco's father? And what was he doing here? He's the captain of his own ship. What was he? Was he a part of Rox and we didn't know it? Was like, I don't know, cause it's like so many characters, they appear to be their own captains up under Rox's flag in a way. Well, not exactly. I wouldn't even say captains, but they're captain-like because they want to be leaders of their own right. But where has this guy been? Where is he? Where did he come from? And where are the other members of his crew at? Like, where are these guys at? Because we only see him. Where are the other members of this so-called crew that you lead? The Polo Pirates, the Grand Pirates, whatever, the Polo Pirates. Yeah, the Polo Pirates. He's captain of the Polo Pirates. His name is Polo Graham. So he's saying that they should join forces, and Whitebeard looks at him like, yo, buzz off, don't get in my way. Like, Whitebeard is just going off on his own, you know. He has no interest in joining up under somebody after everything he just went through. So it appears he's going to go his own route. Now, what's interesting about this, we know that Marco, Polo's son, actually becomes the 1st Division commander of of Whitebeard's crew. How did that come about? The father tried to recruit Whitebeard under his flag and Whitebeard refused, yet the son joined Whitebeard? Are we gonna get a panel? Are we gonna get a flashback of more Whitebeard? When we get more Whitebeard stuff, are we gonna see that there was some, I don't know. Did something happen to Polo to where he asked Whitebeard to look after his son? Cause from the fact that Marco became Whitebeard's first mate and his 1st Division commander, the fact that Marco became that, even as an apprentice, it's just crazy to me. Like, what kind of relationship did Whitebeard really have with his father? Because it doesn't just stop right here. They eventually may have become friends. And if not friends, they may have grown to, like, Whitebeard may have grown to respect Polo for some reason. So what is the deal with that? And on top of that, Polo is the captain of his own crew. What could we, like, there's so much to speculate behind this, man. The son is Whitebeard's right-hand man. The father was his own captain and asked Whitebeard to join him, and Whitebeard refused. But yet Whitebeard ends up recruiting his son? What is the deal with this dynamic, and what happened between Whitebeard and Polo for Whitebeard to take up under his son? Did something tragic happen to Polo and Whitebeard learn about it and he actually sought out Marco? Or was it something where they were at the same place and Polo got hurt real bad and couldn't go on, and Whitebeard ran into him again, and Polo asked him like, yo, look after my son, Newgate, please. I don't know, but I'm just saying, I'm leaning towards, something tells me that Polo asked Whitebeard to look after Marco. That could be the case. But yeah, this guy looks dead on Marco too, man. Got the same head, same pineapple, you know what I'm saying, haircut, whatever. It's crazy. So moving forward from that, we get Stussy and Ganzui. They're actually running off with treasure of their own. You know what I'm saying? Stussy asks, for her concern, because her lover boy, she asks where Whitebeard is. And Ganzui reply like, hey, don't ask me. I ain't his keeper. I'm not his babysitter. Don't ask me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not responsible for him. So as they're running off with treasure in their own goods, you know, because the Rox Pirates, as they're disbanded, everybody's got their own treasure. Everybody's just, this whole island got looted. This whole island was just bum rushed for the goods. It was. Now, as they're running off, there's a short guy in between them with a ghost thing next to him. it looks similar to Perona's white ghost that she makes up with. And I thought to myself, could this character, whoever it is, have Perona's devil fruit? Like, for real, because I'm just saying, this ain't the first time we've seen these random ghosts in the story, but we've only seen them from the likeness of Perona. So could this person have that devil fruit? Possibly. We don't know, but possibly. But like, what the hell is making this little ghost thing, this ghost figure appear from this guy? Because it's just so coincidentally weird to me that we're seeing this right now. And who is this person? We don't know, got a name, but we see that a Perona type ghost or similar ghost is in the panel, spawning from him in some way. Weird, man. But yeah, it might be, this guy might have, whoever this is, that's between Stussy and Ganzui, the little guy running with him, along with the white little ghost. This might be a user of Perona's fruit. This might be a former user of that fruit. Whatever her fruit was. I forgot the name of her fruit. Oh well. So on a Marine ship in the next panel, Dragon is not playing around, man. Dragon has had enough. Dragon is crashing out. He's raising a rifle to his superior, letting him know, like, yo, what do you actually condone this? You condone this slaughter, this tear, this horror that has happened on this island? Paraphrasing. But yeah, you actually condone what happened here today? I swear, hey, save this. We're gonna save the survivors and we're gonna take them up. Anybody who has a problem with it, anybody that has a problem with it, I'm going to execute them myself. Dragon is not playing. He's willing to shoot his superior and anybody else who denies these survivors safe passage and voyage to get off this island. And I don't blame Dragon, man. See, this is the start, the internal start of the revolution. I think this is the eternal start of the revolution. Not by like him actually starting it, the Revolutionary Army or nothing, but this is like, I think this right here, these actions are the pivotal steps in Dragon leading on a revolution to come. So with all this corruption, Dragon is not having it. He's not with it at all. He's pissed off and he will not let them leave behind these survivors on this island to die. He's going to make his superior officers give them safe passage, even if it means raising a rifle to his superiors and blinking them down. So Dragon is not playing here, man. And anybody who has a problem with it, you get blicked too. Blicks for everybody. Blickies for everybody. Like, huh? Get these people safe. Dragon is not playing about his care for these people. They didn't do nothing but exist. Now, of course, one of the Marines is like, I guess the superior is like, yo, you know this is not going to end well for you, Dragon. There will be consequences. This is not going to end well for you. Dragon don't care. He's like, bring it on. And on top of that, I think Dragon is not going to suffer any consequences, at least majorly, especially being Garp's son. Maybe Garp might hear about this, and Garp might actually speak on his son's behalf, condoning Dragon's actions in support. But still, Dragon is still going to go off and form that revolution and start the revolution. Because a revolution will not be televised, but it will be dragoned. I don't know. Bear with me. I know. Just saying, man. I love it, though. Love Dragon's development here, man. So, as we're moving on, you got Rayleigh and Gabon actually going back. Rayleigh and Gabon get off the ship, and it appears they got Shaki and Gloriosa on the ship, and they tell everybody, like, yo, just set sail, go to the sea, you know what I'm saying, we'll rendezvous with you and whatnot. They're going back to check on Roger, and I love this. I love this because what more can we see or happen on this island? Will we see them run into God's Knights? Will we see Rayleigh and Gabon run into two Holy Knights? Like, oh, because the Holy Knights are still here on this island. There's no report of any Holy Knights. We haven't seen any Holy Knights leaving the island at all. However, you know the Celestials got off safe because the Marines were ordered to. But where are the Holy Knights? Or at least some of them? And given that it's 2v1 with Roger and Garp against Zevik, Rayleigh and Gabon are coming back to check on Roger. So who knows what might happen? What, like, if a Holy Knight steps in to interfere during this fight, right? And say they want to step in and try to hurt Roger and Garp. You got backup with Scopper and Rayleigh coming in to assist. So I'm not even saying we got to see a full fight from Rayleigh and Scopper against anybody, but I'm just saying seeing them defend and protect their captain, that'd be cool too. That'd be dope as well. That would definitely be an amazing shot to see. Say if Somers, right, and Garling, let's just say them, for example, try to interfere during this Rox, Xebec, and Garp fight, right? Then somehow, some way, Rayleigh and Scopper jump in and fiend them off. That would be great. That would be great. But yeah, Rayleigh and Scopper, they're actually going back for Roger, man. I love this because they're not leaving their captain hanging. They got to make sure that they get their boy back. So it's amazing. And then off the coast of the West Blue, you know, you got Emu Saturn. Emu looking through the eyes of Saturn. And it appears that Emu was saying that, yo, this island never existed. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alibi thing. Like, hey, I was here all night. Hey, whatever happens, we were here the whole time. Whatever happens, we went to the store. Whatever happens, we never left the house. It appears that it's like a solidified alibi that Emu is enforcing Saturn to embrace. Hey, this island never existed. You got me? This island never existed at all. You don't speak about it, ever. So, and then the narrator box, we get a narrator box, right? The narrator box actually speaks up and it lets us know the records kept by G11 and CP6 concerning the top secret level S special mission on God Valley are sparse. The names of the human hunt participants are purged, and little is recorded regarding the God Valley incident. You know, the info on its size, whereabouts, and specifics and whatnot are purged, and the casualties collected remain unknown. So they really did their best to cover this up. They did somewhat of their best work to cover this event up, but in certain parts of the world, you got people who still speak about the incident, speak about the legend, you know, speak about the people even connected to it. Because after all, you got three people who were the main. Three people who were mainly connected to it went off to become Yonko, and then the other person that connected to it got executed after becoming the king of the pirates. Then another person connected to it became the hero of the Marines, and so on, right? And then the rest of the remaining factions that were ever to be a part of it, they went off and became their own respective crews and all that. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows how many people all over the world really know about the God Valley incident, but we can bet that there's a good chunk. It has to be a fair chunk. Just because they don't know, just because Rox himself is no longer of this world doesn't mean that they don't speak about his exploits of what was during the formation of the Rox Pirates, because they left their mark heavy on the seas. Now, Roger and Garp discuss the government's ties to Emu, and that Roger mentions that it seems to be an affront to justice, and Garp had no idea that this type of monster, Emu, was connected to the government in such a way. So Roger then says, hey, Garp, if you quit, that you should join. Like, this is so dope of Roger to even doing this. It's just like Roger too. Seemed like something Luffy would do as well. So Roger suggests that, yo, if you end up quitting, man, you know you can join my crew. Can you imagine that? Imagine if Garp actually, what that would do to the story. If Garp actually quit the Marines and joined up with Roger, you know how crazy that would be, man. If Garp the Fist became a pirate and joined the that would be, bro, Roger's crew is like already OP. You know what I'm saying? They're already amazing, but having Garp as a crewmate, that would just be sick. Like, oh my goodness, how sick would that be if Garp actually joined Roger in like another hypothetical what-if scenario of the story, man? I would love that. I think that'd be crazy as all hell, but I would love that. And after all, Xebec even said that Garp would be better off becoming a pirate, given how he doesn't even like or respect the top brass. Because Xebec had a lot of respect for Garp as well. And I would love to see moments like that. Like, if Roger and Xebec, right? Because Xebec was the most formidable foe that Roger ever faced on the seas. What was Xebec's interactions with Garp like when Garp would run into him on the seas? Because as we saw with Roger and Garp, when they faced each other, during that time they met up with the Kuja Pirates and Garp and Roger got to fighting and whatnot, Why haven't we seen an interaction similar to that of Garp and Xebec? Like, did Garp ever run into Xebec on the seas and scrap? Because it appears that it may have happened. We just haven't seen it yet. So, man, there's a lot to unpack here still, even with what we're getting so far with this flashback and everything. Now, Garp says that if he were to quit the Marines, who's going to protect his Marines? You know, Garp represents a greater good for the government as far as being a vice admiral and a Marine himself, because it's like, if he were to quit, his underlings and people who look up to him in the Marines, they would fall victim to whatever orders the Celestials and higher-ups would just subjugate them to. At least with Garp, there's an umbrella. So yes, they can carry out their duties and missions and serve justice accordingly, but they don't have to be subjugated to direct injustice and the serving of it through the sick orders of the Celestials passed down to whatever superiors blindly follow them instead of question. See, you need people like Garp a part of the system because it's a balance. Garp represents a greater balance of the evil inner workings of the government organization. So you actually need people like Garp to not quit and to be a part of the Marines, because there's a pillar of light. Garp represents a real symbol of justice, heroism, and light that may not be shined directly throughout the world government. But as long as Garp is there, he can inspire that throughout whoever he influences in the Marines, whether there'll be future officers, future vice admirals, future lieutenants, petty officers, whatever. Garp represents the true justice that should be executed and followed for the people, by the people. So, you know, I love Garp's apathy. Like, Garp really cares about his guys in the Marines. From the lowest level soldier, Garp cares about them. So, and the fact that they follow him like that too, that just shows he's earned their respect. And because he respects them, he cares about them. Now, moving on, Roger says that it's all about the mass. When Roger was talking about the mass, I was thinking he was talking about the masses of people throughout the world and how the government affects them and whatnot. But it appears this is a hockey related statement. So it appears that Roger's talking about the mass of your hockey, the mass of will and focus you put into it, I'm assuming here. Now, we learn from Roger that armament hockey can normally counter devil fruit abilities, normally. But Roger is using his Conqueror's coding to boost. I'll say boot because he said boot. Roger is using his Conqueror's coding to boot so there's no possible way that he isn't actually doing damage. You know, there's no way that he's not doing damage given the way he's using his technique. So armament can normally counter almost any devil fruit ability, but Roger is using his Conqueror's coding to boost everything about his hockey currently at the moment, armament included. Now, Garp says that Xebec is also using Conqueror's coding to guard himself. So it's no surprise, actually, that they cancel each other out. It's like, how can I say this? It's like a magnet, right? You put two magnets together, you know what I'm saying? You know how they pull apart? Like, look at magnets, for example. If you take two magnets, right, using the same side, you know how you can't touch certain magnets, or magnets in general. If you're using two magnets on the same side and they push the other away from each other, it's kind of like that. Like when you get two magnets and you're trying to touch them, but then when you turn the other magnet around and it can finally touch. So I can relate this to magnets. If you try to put two magnets together and they just push each other away from each other, that's the essence of Conqueror's hockey in a way. That's an example. So you got a Conqueror's hockey coding from Roger over here, but you got Conqueror's hockey coding from Xebec over here, and they're two magnets, but when one tries to attack the other or the other way around, it just cancels each other out. There's no physical contact. Even if there was physical contact, you'd have to visibly force it, but even still, it's canceling each other out. Like two magnets trying to touch, the connection is canceled. So now Roger says that if they don't overcome that, the damage won't go through. If they don't bridge that gap, the damage is not going to go through. So if they keep trading blows, if they keep just going back and forth trading blows, then sooner or later they both might die. They both might lose. And they can't win They can't match a monster in a battle of attrition. So they have to channel all their mass into their Conqueror's Haki. Now, they got to channel all their mass into the next usage of their Conqueror's Haki. No holding back. They literally have to put everything from their will to will all inside their attack. You know, they have to expand the mass. So this gives me a feeling of what Scopper Gaban was saying back in Elbaf, when he told Luffy that he has to refine his haki. So to refine your haki, your Conqueror's Haki, that means that you may have to increase the mass that you put into your Conqueror's Haki. You may have to up the volume of the mass into your Conqueror's Haki to have a greater effect on fighting the God's Knights or any other really entity that could be strong enough to wield their Conqueror's Haki against yours and cancel out your attacks because you're just wasting your energy and whatnot. So big nod to Scopper Gaban. Like, I instantly thought of him when I was reading this chapter. I'm like, so this might be a part of what Scopper was talking about as far as the refinement of your Conqueror's Haki. A part of that refinement may come from the fact that you have to increase your mass, as Roger is now teaching us in this chapter. So as we keep going on, Roger says that if they increase their mass and do it right and properly, going all out, they may not survive, and it'll probably take all three of them out of commission. Like doing that, it might take all three of them out. They might all three go out: Zavik, Roger, and Garp. So who knows? And Garp is like, yo, man, if we don't do this, if this doesn't land, it's over. It's over for all of us. Me, you, especially. But for him, probably not. Maybe because he's still going to be taking over. But still, it's still over for Rocks regardless because he is Domi reversed. But Garp is very adamant about this. Like, if we don't land this attack, it's going to be over for us. There's nothing we can do. So Roger then speaks to Rocks, and he's like, yo, I don't know what's going on with this transformation. I don't even know what words to say to you right now. However, you know, like, I don't understand it. But however, I can feel your frustration. And Garp can too, because remember, he hears the voice of all things as well, as it's been confirmed at the beginning of this chapter, which really was confirmed when Zavik said, Garp, Roger, please kill me. But back to this. Roger says that he can feel the frustration of Rocks. He can feel the frustration. And we see this as Rocks is like still crying out internally. Like Rocks is really like, bro, if you look at Rocks' eyes, this man is in pain. This man is suffering right before them. And it's no wonder that he willfully wants them to kill him, because he can't bear to take this anymore. He can't bear this. This is too much for him to bear. So he's crying out frustratedly internally, and Roger and Garp can both hear this. And it appears that Roger, he has so much sympathy for Zavik and what he's going through. Roger is even crying. We see Roger actually sparking tears as he's winding up his latest named attack that we finally get to see. Garp lets Roger know, like, hey, this ain't the time for tears, you dope. Like, you can't be crying right now. Look at what we're up against. And bro, the fact that Roger actually cried out, like, it just shows Roger doesn't even look at Rocks as a bad guy. I don't think so. Roger doesn't really, he doesn't look at Rocks as a bad guy, but he feels sorry that another pirate that he respects is going through such pain. Like, I don't think Roger enjoys Rocks' suffering at all, not in the slightest. So, you know, Roger's charging up his attack. In an epic face-off, we get Garp and Roger both charging their attacks up. Garp winding up his fists, Roger winding up his sword, and side by side, they're both standing there preparing. Roger says, Kagutsuchi. Garp says, infinitum. So we learn that the Kagutsuchi, you know, it's a kanji for a god of fire. So as we see them winding up their attacks, and they both finally attack rocks. The names of these attack from Roger: Kagutsuchi no Ace, Garp, Infinitum Explosion. We see a panel of Garp hitting with a barrage of fist and Conqueror's Coding, and then Roger a barrage of slashes and Conqueror's Coding, and Xebec is just getting torn up from this. But I think Xebec is okay with it internally because he wants them to do this. So this appears to have gotten the job done. This combined attack, I'm not even gonna lie, this combined attack appears to have gotten the job done as they're going all out, you know? Because earlier, when they were talking about how to damage him, they were both wheezing and coughing, wheezing and catching their breath because they were both like, Rox was he was handing their butts to him. He was beating them up, beating them badly. And you got both of these guys in rubble, in all types of debris, picking themselves up, dusting themselves off, and having to actually stand together and come to collaborate and whatnot. Because Roger asked him for a temporary truce. Roger asked Garp, like, yo, let's call a temporary truce for now and work together. And they did so. As much as Garp didn't really favor it, he had to recognize, like, yo, this is the best course of action for what we're going through right now. So it is what it is. Now, as they both do their combined attacks, what is it called? Kagutsuchi no Ace and Infinitum Explosion. I'll admit, these are nice attacks. These are dope. But I was literally predicting that they would do a combined attack called Galactic Departure or something. I still like that name, Galactic Departure. That would go hard too. But I'm glad Oda gave us what he gave us. You know, it's Oda. It still doesn't take away from the greatness that he has given us in this chapter. So they attack Xebec combined with these attacks that we just now find the new names of. It appears that they may have both taken him out for good, because the narrator box pops up, and we learn that the world government tried to bury this incident in the shadows. The Rock's crew would leave an undeniable echo throughout the seas. The Rock's pirate destabled an entire sea itself through their reign. Tremors of their legacy would continue to shake the world. And it appears that the incident is now over. We may actually get back to the former timeline, the current timeline. So this may be the end of this flashback. We may see one like in the next chapter, we may see some final conclusions wrapping up still about this flashback. Then it'll start, present day, this song. So we're gonna get, like, who knows? We could get just a little bit more by the time 1166 comes out, but then 1166 is gonna focus on more of the present day and what's going on. So Loki has taken us through an amazing flashback, man. This flashback has been phenomenal. However, we still have to find out about King Harold. So that's why we have to go back into the present day, and then another flashback from another point of view. Who knows? Actually, given that this God Valley flashback takes place from Loki's perspective, we may actually get the King Harold flashback from Haruden's perspective. So, given that Haruden and Loki are both brothers and the rightful heirs to the throne, right? Despite them having different mothers, they got the same father, so they're both rightful heirs. Loki's flashback may be that of the Rocks, pirates, and everything like that. Haruden's flashback may be of Loki and Harold and what happened in the throne room that day. Because I forgot, we still have to hear Harold's side of the story. I just forgot about that. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Haruden has to tell his side of the story regarding the flashback of King Harold's death. So we may be getting into another flashback, but it may come from the perspective and head memory of Haruden. Because we got Rocks through Loki, we'll get Harold's other side through Haruden. It just makes the most sense. In my case, it makes the most sense. Given that we got a flashback from Loki, we may get one from Haruden as well. But this may take place after we get caught up on current events and what's going on in the story, especially with Emu marching these kids off on Elbaf to be slaves and military weapons of war and whatnot. And then on top of that, we gotta get Loki about them chains, because the fight continues, and we're walking into a heavy hitter fight right here on Elbaf. So a lot is going to happen. More flashbacks will occur. I love the flashbacks of the story. I'm still putting this one though. I'm still putting this flashback of one of the greatest that we've seen thus far. And I say thus far because like One Piece always has a habit of upping the ante and showing us more than what we bargained for, or more than what we would expect we were going to get, even when we don't expect much. So this has been an amazing chapter. I give this one a 10 out of 10. Flat out, I give this one a 10 out of 10. All the interactions we got, including the new characters that we got introduced. We get Marco's father. We met Marco's dad, man. This is crazy. This is beyond crazy, man. We gotta talk more about this in the aftermath that I will be pulling up. So, man, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go read it if you haven't watched. You will be spoiled in this video. This is JD Rich coming back at you with another One Piece video and discussion. And remember, a piece of life is life in one piece. Peace.